Tonight, when the sun goes down, you'll probably flip a switch. Light will fill the room. The darkness outside will become something you barely notice as screens glow, streetlights shine, and the modern world continues almost exactly as it did during the day. It feels normal, but the real answer is far stranger. Because for almost all of human history, sunset changed everything. When the sun disappeared, the world became a different planet. Your ancestors did not simply continue their day under artificial light. They entered a completely different reality. A reality filled with predators, uncertainty, stories, strange sounds, and a sky so bright with stars that it looked almost unreal. What actually happened after sunset? Most people imagine ancient humans huddling around a fire and immediately falling asleep. That picture is partly true, but it leaves out nearly everything interesting. Anthropologists who studied hunter-gatherer societies discovered that evenings were often some of the most socially important hours of the entire day. The work was usually done. The heat had faded. People gathered together. Conversations started. Stories emerged. Knowledge moved from one generation to another. Could the most important moments of human culture have happened after dark? Researchers studying traditional hunter-gatherer groups found that daytime conversations often focused on practical matters: food, tools, travel, tasks. Nighttime conversations were different. They became larger, more imaginative, more emotional. People discussed ancestors, spirits, history, relationships, the meaning of events. The anthropologist Polly Wiesner documented this pattern among the Jew/Hwanzi people of southern Africa and found that fireside conversations often shifted away from daily logistics towards storytelling, social bonding, and cultural knowledge. That shift may have shaped human civilization itself. Think about it. For thousands upon thousands of generations, your ancestors spent evenings gathered around flames. There were no phones, no television, no endless notifications demanding attention every few seconds. There were only people, faces illuminated by flickering light, voices traveling through darkness, stories becoming memory, memory becoming tradition, tradition becoming culture. The campfire may have been humanity's first university. Children listened, adults explained, elders remembered. Important lessons survived. Dangerous mistakes were recalled. Successful strategies were shared. Entire histories existed only in human minds. If nobody remembered them, they disappeared forever. That made storytelling incredibly valuable. Why were stories so powerful? Because the human brain is built to remember narratives better than raw facts. A warning about a predator is useful. A dramatic story about someone who ignored a warning and was attacked is unforgettable. The story stays. The lesson survives. The psychologist Jerome Bruner famously argued that humans understand reality through narrative structures, and ancient evenings may have been where those structures became refined generation after generation. Darkness also changed how people experienced fear. Today, most fears remain abstract. Bills, deadlines, emails, performance reviews. Ancient humans faced different threats. Some dangers were hiding just beyond the edge of the firelight. Large predators often hunted at night. Lions, hyenas, leopards, wolves. Strange sounds carried through darkness. A snapped branch could mean nothing, or it could mean everything. Your brain evolved in that environment. Part of it still lives there. Have you ever noticed how different a house feels when every light is off? The rooms are the same. The furniture has not moved. Nothing has changed. Yet the feeling changes instantly. That reaction is not irrational. It is ancient. Neuroscientists studying threat detection have shown that humans are especially sensitive to uncertainty. Darkness reduces information. When information disappears, the brain becomes more alert. It starts filling in gaps. It imagines possibilities. Sometimes it imagines too many. That tendency helped ancestors survive. Missing a threat was dangerous. Being overly cautious was usually safer. The darkness also created opportunities. Night was not only about fear, it was about connection. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that fire transformed human life in extraordinary ways. Cooking improved nutrition, food became easier to digest, more energy became available for growing larger brains. But fire also extended social time. People could remain awake together after sunset. They could communicate, plan, teach, laugh, reflect. A simple flame may have changed the trajectory of our species. Imagine looking upward, not at a ceiling, not at a phone, not at a television, at the sky. For ancient humans, the night sky was overwhelming. Modern light pollution hides much of it. Many people today can see only a fraction of the stars visible to their ancestors. Before cities existed, the Milky Way stretched across the sky like a glowing river. Countless stars filled the darkness. Planets moved. Meteor showers appeared. Strange celestial events demanded explanation. Humans naturally searched for meaning. Constellations emerged. Myths formed. Stories connected the heavens to life on Earth. Why did that matter? Because humans are pattern-seeking creatures. The cognitive scientist Michael Shermer has described our tendency to detect meaningful patterns even when information is incomplete. That tendency sometimes produces mistakes, but it also fuels creativity, science, religion, art, exploration. The night sky encouraged all of them. Every culture eventually looked upward and asked questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What are those lights? Those questions help shape civilization. Nighttime may have been humanity's oldest philosophy class. Sleep itself was also different. Most people assume ancient humans slept exactly the way many people try to sleep today. One uninterrupted block. 8 straight hours, lights out, morning arrives. The reality may have been more complicated. Historian Roger E. Kirch examined historical records and found evidence that segmented sleep was once common in many societies. People often experienced a first sleep and a second sleep separated by a period of wakefulness. During that quiet interval, individuals sometimes talked, prayed, reflected, or simply sat awake. The night was not always treated as a single continuous event. It had phases, moments, transitions. Human sleep patterns may have been more flexible than modern schedules allow. That idea surprises many people, especially people who wake up in the middle of the night and assume something is wrong. Yet throughout history, nighttime wakefulness may have been perfectly normal in many contexts. Ancient evenings also strengthened social trust. Small groups depended on cooperation. Survival required it. People shared food, protected children, watched for danger, resolved conflicts. A group divided by resentment became vulnerable. Evening gatherings provided opportunities to maintain relationships, to repair damage, to reinforce belonging, to remind everyone that they were part of something larger than themselves. The psychologist Robin Dunbar has spent years studying social bonds and group dynamics. His work suggests that humans evolved to maintain strong social relationships because cooperation dramatically improved survival. Nighttime conversations likely played a major role in that process. Friendships were not merely pleasant, they were protective. Belonging was not a luxury, it was survival technology. What about loneliness? Imagine being separated from your group after sunset. No fire, no companions, no protection, no familiar voices. For an ancient human, that situation could be terrifying. The emotional pain of isolation may have evolved because separation genuinely increased danger. Modern loneliness still activates many of the same systems. The world changed. The brain remembers. This is one reason why social rejection often feels surprisingly physical. Part of your nervous system treats exclusion as a threat. Because for much of history, it was. The campfire represented safety, warmth, community, information, protection. Being outside that circle carried consequences. Night also transformed imagination. When visibility drops, the mind becomes active. Shapes become mysterious. Shadows become characters. Sounds become stories. Many legends likely emerged from these conditions. Ghosts, spirits, monsters, supernatural beings. Not because ancient people were foolish, because human brains naturally build explanations when information is incomplete. Everyone does it, even today. The difference is that modern people often replace ancient monsters with different uncertainties, financial fears, health concerns, future worries. The mechanism remains remarkably similar. The brain dislikes unanswered questions. It tries to fill the space, sometimes accurately, sometimes creatively, sometimes both. Around those fires, children learned what it meant to be human, not through textbooks, not through classrooms, through observation, stories, examples, corrections, encouragement. Culture lived inside conversations. A young child might hear how a respected hunter behaved, how a brave person acted during danger, how generosity improved group survival, how selfishness created problems. Those lessons became identity. Identity became behavior. Behavior became culture. Much of human learning happened after sunset, and perhaps it still does. Think about your own life. When do the deepest conversations usually occur? Often not during the busiest parts of the day. Not while rushing between obligations. Not while checking tasks off a list. Many meaningful conversations happen later. At dinner, during a walk, around a table, late at night. Something about the slowing of activity changes attention. The same pattern may stretch back thousands of generations. The setting changed. The psychology remained. Ancient humans also experienced silence differently. Modern environments are saturated with noise, traffic, notifications, appliances, advertisements, background media. Ancient nights could become astonishingly quiet, then suddenly loud. An insect, a distant animal, a gust of wind. Every sound mattered. Awareness remained sharp. Listening became a survival skill. Humans became experts at interpreting subtle signals from their surroundings. Many of those abilities still exist beneath the surface. You may notice them during camping trips or power outages. When modern distractions disappear, something older seems to reappear. Attention changes. Perception sharpens. The environment feels alive. That feeling is not new. It is ancient. Even the glow of a campfire has special effects on the mind. Researchers studying firelight have noted that it creates a unique visual environment filled with movement, warmth, and constantly shifting patterns. People naturally stare into it. Thoughts slow down. Conversations unfold. The fire becomes a focal point. Perhaps that is one reason campfires remain appealing even today. They activate something familiar, something inherited, something that accompanied humanity for countless generations. The strange part is that modern life has not erased these ancient patterns. It has layered new technology on top of them. The need for stories remains. The desire for belonging remains. The fascination with stars remains. The discomfort of darkness remains. The urge to gather remains. The need to make sense of the world remains. Your ancestors sat around fires asking questions about existence. Today, people sit around glowing screens asking many of the same questions. The tools changed. The curiosity survived. When the sun disappeared thousands of years ago, ancient humans did not simply wait for morning. They bonded, learned, imagined, taught, protected one another, built culture, shared memories, created meaning. The darkness was not empty. It was full of humanity. And tonight, when the sun goes down and you flip a switch, part of your mind will still remember a world where that switch did not exist.